It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. According to today's guest, Jonathan Robinson, the pace of modern life leaves little time to truly connect with our partners. Yet, the need for good communication is greater than ever before. Jonathan joins us to discuss ways to keep the lines of communication open, become a better listener, and understand triggers. Jonathan is a psychotherapist and best-selling author who has been a frequent guest on Oprah and CNN. His new book is More Love, Less Conflict, a Communication Playbook for Couples. Welcome, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Joan. I'm looking forward to this.
So, Jonathan, people are so busy today, and our interpersonal relationships can really suffer. Sometimes it feels like we're spiraling out of control. As a psychotherapist, you work with couples in crisis. What are some of the common issues you see couples dealing with?
Well, there's really only two issues. One is that couples blame each other. And, Joan, blame never works. I've never told my wife everything she's doing wrong, and she responded by saying, yeah, now I see what you're talking about. I'll have to change that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
It never works. But couples do that because they don't know of a good alternative. And the other thing that is always the issue is that couples don't feel like they understand each other. I never have a couple come into my office and say, Jonathan, we really understand each other quite well. That's why we want a divorce. That doesn't happen either. So what couples need to learn is how to communicate without blame, complain, and shame, and how to understand each other. And luckily, there's simple communication methods for doing both of those things.
So when someone understands the things that you just described, does that have an immediate impact on our relationships?
Yeah, it does, because what couples really want is to be able to be understood, to feel like your partner really cares and gets your feelings. And if you can give that to your partner, they will give it to you, and that's really the essence of creating more love and less conflict. But most people really are pretty bad at that, and they don't know that they're bad at that. They know that they're not getting the love that they want, but they don't necessarily know the simple skills that would lead to getting that consistently.
So, Jonathan, there have been couples since the beginning of time, and it just seems now that people are having a more difficult time in relationships. Are there changes that are making that occur, or are we just talking about it more?
No, I think it is more difficult. Life is very stressful. We have these, what I call WMDs, not weapons of mass destruction, but widgets of mass distraction. And that makes for more superficial relationships, with texting and email. And even Facebook, 1,000 Facebook friends does not equal one really good friend. So what we need now more than ever is really, really simple methods that can get us to a place of deep intimacy quickly. And most people don't know those methods, so instead they are relying on outdated communication methods that don't fit with our current lifestyle.
Do you believe that people end up divorcing when the relationship could have been saved?
Absolutely. I have about a 95% success rate in getting people who are on the verge of divorce to be able to work it out. And it really comes down to they just have to learn how to be more vulnerable with each other, more honest, and talk in a way that leads to love. The fact that people are together without these methods shows me that with this help, with these power tools, a lot is possible. And some of them are so simple, they take 10 seconds to do or 10 seconds to describe. So I'm not talking about complicated theories. I'm talking about fill-in-the-blank methods.
Jonathan, to even get people to want to learn about or implement your power tools, I think sometimes we have to overcome what I call this disposable mentality. Growing up, we held on to everything. You had that television for 15 years. You ran the car into the ground. Do you think people today put enough effort into cultivating relationships, or do you believe that they have that disposable mentality? They just get rid of what doesn't work.
They do get rid of what doesn't work, and but then they find that they have the same problem with the next relationship and the next. You know, the divorce rate's 45%, but for second marriages it's worse, and for third marriages it's worse. So we're not necessarily learning, and people need to realize that they are the key to a great relationship, not finding the perfect partner. You know, being the perfect partner or a better partner is really the key to more love and less conflict.
Right. Well, so Jonathan, let's talk about some of the power tools that you write about in your book. Would you share a few with us?
Sure. You know, one we could do right now, you and I, just to show it's very simple. I'll first explain why this is useful. The best predictor of how happy couples are is the number of appreciations they give to each other. Now, I get caught up in work, so I sometimes forget to appreciate my wife. So I actually have Siri on my iPhone remind me to give her a sincere appreciation every day. Now, we've known each other about 7 minutes, but I still know certain things about you. For example, if I completed this sentence, something I notice about you, Joan, that I really appreciate is that you're very clear in your communication. Some people have lots of ums and hus, and they interrupt themselves, but you're very focused and directed, and it makes it easy to talk to you, and you also ask really good questions. Now, and that's a sincere appreciation, but as we share those types of things, we'll start to feel closer. You know, if you look at the word intimacy, it has the instructions for finding it in the word, into me see. So I was already thinking that about you. I didn't have to make this up, but by saying it, you'll think, well, he's very intelligent. You'll think, well, you know, that's nice, you know, that he recognizes that. So you could try that with me. If you have anything that you already notice that you appreciate, you can say that.
Well, and along the same lines, Jonathan, I was thinking, I appreciate that you are answering each question clearly and succinctly so that our audience can follow and understand. So I actually was thinking that as we were having our conversation.
Well, good. And, you know, that makes it so that now we're a little bit more real than just talking information. Right. And then you can even take communication deeper by sometimes talking about what's happening now. For example, you could say, you can fill in the blank, right now I'm feeling blank and I'm wanting blank. Or, you know, so I might say, right now I'm feeling like this is a really good interview. I really like you, and I'm wanting, I wish we had more time, you know. So when you talk about now and what's going on with you now, that deepens relationships. And that's the type of thing that people really want, that sense of that we're connected, that we're present, that we're in unknown territory in a certain way.
Well, and I can understand that because I'm divorced, and I wish that I had these tools before the divorce had occurred, because it could have had a big impact, because we went down the road of not appreciating each other, growing apart.
Yeah. And you know, you can take partners for granted. That's why for like our date night, my wife and I just answer 3 or 4 questions that bring us back to a place of love. And in fact, for your listeners, I have 12 questions that lead to instant intimacy that they can download for free on my website.
And that website is morelovelessconflict.com.
Yeah.
So, Jonathan, if we do the practices that you're describing, will we see an immediate impact on the relationships? And I ask immediate because we're such a society of needing to see something positive occur or we give up. So would we see something changing within our dynamics?
Absolutely. You know, usually within like 3 minutes. That's how quick some of these things are. You know, if I say an appreciation to you, or if I reveal what I'm feeling and wanting, or I have 50 methods in the book that each take like 10 seconds. So if I do that, that changes the dynamic immediately. You don't have to work everything out in your whole life in order to get back to a place of love. I have couples that come into my office who've been screaming at each other for 10 years, and within 2 minutes, they're holding hands and feeling back to a place of love. Because love is a powerful force, And if you find a method that guides you back to it safely and easily, people do want to go there.
Getting scientific for a moment, when you gave me that statement of appreciation, I actually felt a warm feeling go throughout my body. Does the brain release chemicals that are bonding when something like that occurs?
Absolutely. There's studies that show when you do some of these methods, they put the people in MRI machines, and they find that cortisol goes down, the stress hormone, endorphins go up, oxytocin goes up, the hormone that leads to connection. So these are like things that happen in 10, 15 seconds. You don't have to wait years to solve all your problems. In fact, it's much easier to solve problems if you feel connected and feel loving, and that is something that with the right methods and technology, you can do very, very quickly.
And so utilizing the techniques can put us back into that honeymoon state.
Yeah, and then, it won't keep you there forever. So
well, you have to
my
keep
wife
doing
and
it.
my wife and I use these techniques for about 2 minutes a day, and we can somewhat consistently stay there. Without those techniques, we, take each other for granted, and you get lost in all the stresses of life.
But that's the key. It's something that you need to work on continually. You can't just do it, bond, and then go back to your old habits. It has to become a new habit for developing your relationship.
Right. I mean, it's a little bit like eating. We don't eat once and say, "Well, I'm done with eating for the rest of my life. I did that one." No, you do a little bit each day, and that keeps you sustained and ready for action.
The book is More Love, Less Conflict, a communication playbook for couples. If you'd like to get more information about Jonathan and his work, you can visit morelovelessconflict.com. Jonathan, in our final moments, what's the takeaway? What would you like to leave our listeners with?
That if they know some very simple methods, they can get back to a place of love very quickly. And it's worth investing, whether through my stuff or other stuff, in your communication skills, because that is really the key to relationships and even the key to success in the business world as well.
Jonathan, thank you so much for being here and for teaching us a strategy or two and for having this discussion. With the staggering divorce rate and the way that we're viewing our relationships and getting caught up in so many stresses of the world, it's really important for us to put the time and effort into what are probably the most important relationships of our life. So thank you.
My pleasure.
This is Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Stay with us. We'll be right back.